From the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Chris Murphy. I'm the head of the Near East section in the African Middle Eastern Division. We have responsibility for the Kyrgyz collection here at the library. And it is my distinct honor and pleasure to introduce Dr. James Billington, the Librarian of Congress, who will say some words of welcome. As many of you probably know, Dr. Billington is a highly respected scholar of Russian studies, and Dr. Billington has been here at the library for slightly over 26 years, and we would be here a very long time if I went over all his accomplishments, but I will mention one that is particularly important to we who are involved with the international collections, and that's the initiative of the World Digital Library, which is a cooperative effort between the Library of Congress and UNESCO. And to quote Dr. Billington, when he explained it some years ago to a group of people, and I was present, World Digital Library is an attempt to create a virtual encyclopedia of world culture. And this is something very important to we who do the international collections here. Now, without further ado, I would like to ask Dr. Billington to come up and to say a few words. Dr. Billington.
First of all, welcome to you all. We're honored and very pleased to have such a large and distinguished delegation from Kyrgyzstan here at the Library of Congress. We are in an interesting place because if the sun weren't shining so brightly, we could see out of that window the legislative branch of the United States government, the Capitol, where the Congress meets. And out of this window, you can see where the judicial branch of government is, where the Supreme Court meets. And the fact that the Library of Congress, with this beautiful Jefferson building and two other buildings named after early presidents, is so close to the operations of government illustrates the fundamental characteristic of America, that is to say that it's a knowledge-based democracy, that to make good laws and to define them over the years, you need a good base of knowledge, and therefore the connection between a library and a legislature is very fundamental. Так что добро пожаловать всем. Мы весьма очень рады вас приветствовать здесь. Фактически это Национальная библиотека Соединенных Штатов. Но я буду продолжать на родном языке. So, Ambassador Djumaliev, honorable members of the delegation of the Kyrgyz Parliament, excuse me. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to welcome you to the Library of Congress this morning. and to greet you with relatively good weather as well, although a little chilly. Excuse me. The Library of Congress serves many functions. It is both the record of copyrighted individual creativity of the American people, the repository of that, of our national patrimony, or a large part of it, but it also serves the needs of the United States Congress in its responsibilities to both pass the laws and oversee the functioning of their execution in the executive branch. This is the oldest federal cultural institution, and it is supervised, or at least responsible to, the oldest joint committee involving members of both houses of the Congress of the United States. Now, the library has developed an unparalleled collection in all formats from countries all over the world. And as Mr. Murphy mentioned, it is very active, helping create with UNESCO this World Digital Library. Now, the library's collection from and about Kyrgyzstan is the largest in the United States and is particularly strong in publications beginning in the late 1950s and continuing through the present day. In the adjoining room are displayed books and journals that illustrate, in a small way, the Library of Congress documents of Kyrgyzstan and its culture. The not directly under the Library of Congress, but administered here by our America's former ambassador to Kyrgyzstan, John O'Keefe, Honorable John O'Keefe. We have a very close connection with your country historically. Also displayed in this adjacent room, which incidentally contains the library of former President Woodrow Wilson. There is a bust of Chingiz Aytmatov, the great Kyrgyz writer, and the bust is a gift of the Kyrgyz government to the library. And I have a personal debt to Kyrgyzstan because I was given the Chingiz Aytmatov Award one time, which I highly value because he was an authentically great writer and a great representative of your people. So, now our purpose here today is both to get to know one another better and fortunately to receive a book about Kyrgyzstan and the Kyrgyz people. Ambassador Djumaliev has been essential to creating this event, and I know he has remarks to make, as do two of his guests. So let me, once again, thanking you all for being here, let me introduce Ambassador Djumaliev. He was educated in post-independence Kyrgyzstan, and his education has focused on economics and law. Previous to his appointment as ambassador to the United States in 2010, he has been, there is such a long list of things that he has been and covered, so I will go through them rather rapidly, but I'm sure you will agree, as our American colleagues will, that he brings very impressive credentials to this position. So let me run through the list rapidly, just to give you some sense. Our American colleagues, I'm sure our Kyrgyz friends are already aware of this, but they begin with Department of External Economic Relations, advisor to the Minister of Finance, to the Office of the President, Deputy Foreign Minister for Foreign Trade, and First Secretary of the Kyrgyz Embassy to the United Nations in Geneva. Following that, he became ambassador to he had ambassador to the UN in Geneva, serving as ambassador to the World Trade Organization and to Switzerland. In 2010, he came to the United States as ambassador, and then in 2011, Canada was added to his portfolio. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ambassador Djumaliev.
Thank you very much, Dr. Billington. You cannot imagine how happy I am today that so many friends, especially our American friends, made possible to us and especially to me, to our embassy, to our team in the embassy, possible this big event in this historical place, the U.S. Library of Congress. And you can imagine that we have our compatriots, so almost more than 60 representatives from Kyrgyzstanis came especially to United States to participate at a number of events, and one of the biggest events was the presentation of the book. And this is a special event since we celebrated last year 20th anniversary of establishment between Kyrgyzstan and United States of America, our diplomatic relations. I would like to thank all our fellow compatriots who also came to this event today to participate at this presentation. I would like to thank all our diaspora organization who also presented here and was supporting this event by their presence and by their spirit of strong support to Kyrgyzstan. I'm very proud that today we have our ex-ambassador, John O'Keefe, who was one of the he has contributed a lot in order to develop Kyrgyzstan-American relations at the beginning of independence of Kyrgyzstan. And still so far, he is doing so many things for Kyrgyzstan in order to promote our reforms in terms of strengthening of our parliamentarism, in terms of developing reform of our judicial system. And we're very proud, John O'Keefe, that you are best friend to Kyrgyzstan and you are here today with us. Kyrgyzstan is still so many things to do in there, so many things to do to promote our country. And I'm very happy that today we have a big opportunity as one of the promotion that Mr. Imanaliev, who wrote a book about Kyrgyzstan, which will help to know each other more closely. So this book is very valuable book for Kyrgyzstan. This book was recognized as the best book last year in Kyrgyzstan. Mr. Muratbek Imanaliev, he is now the member of the parliament, and he is a politician, of course, but he has very strong background. He wrote so many books, and he contributed for our Kyrgyzstani promotion, and he wrote in Russian and in English. He has his colleagues with him, and I cannot not mentioning that his two members of the parliament, Mr. Ravshan Jeinbekov and Mr. Ulybek Kochkorov, who also came to the United States to support this presentation, and I would like to thank you very much also for being with us. Mary Jane and Chris, thank you very much for making this event possible. I would like to once again thank you very much, and not taking too much time, but would like to give the floor to the author of this book and to welcome him. Thank you. Урматтуу мекендештер, чоң рахмат келип катышып атканыңыздарга. Канбек Капашев келип өзүңүз китебиңизди презентация кылыңыздар.
Рахмат, урматтуу азиз меймандар, агайын туугандар. Добрый день, уважаемые дамы и господа, уважаемый господин посол Окиф, господин посол Djumaliev, уважаемый Джеймс Биллингтон. Нам, членам нашей делегации, быть здесь – это высокая честь. Уважаемый Джеймс Биллингтон, ваш единомышленник, соратник, великий гуманист 20 века Дмитрий Сергеевич Лихачев сказал следующее. самые главные святыни мира хранятся только в музеях и библиотеках.
The most important funds and knowledge are kept and gathered in museums and libraries.
Сегодня мы как раз находимся в той местности, библиотеки Конгресса США, где хранятся более 155 миллионов наименований книг. То есть, поистине, эта библиотека является кладезем мудрости не только Америки, а всего человечества.
And today we are here at the Library of Congress, where it has more than 150 millions of books, and it is really considered to be the lord of wisdom, not only of the United States, but also of all of the world.
Кыргызы, наши предки, издревле бережно и трепетно относились к знаниям и книге.
Our Kyrgyz people from the ancient times treated the knowledge and the science very carefully.
Еще 1100 лет тому назад великий философ Востока, наш земляк, Джусуп Баласагын в отношении книги сказал следующее.
And our philosopher, Yusuf Balasaran, maybe 1,100 years ago, said the following about the books.
Благодатное знание. Счастье дается только знающему, а знающему дается только через книги.
Happiness is given to people who are knowledgeable and who are educated, and education is given only through the books.
И я сегодня имею честь вручить мною написанные книги, изданные 3 дня тому назад в Стамбуле, а увидел свои книги только час назад здесь, вручить фонд Конгресса США.
And it's my honor to present my book, which was actually printed 3 days ago in English in Turkey, and I also was able to see the book only 1 hour ago.
Эта книга посвящена историю, духовности, традиции моего народа, о красоте земли,
This book is devoted to the culture, tradition, and spirituality of my nation.
о красоте земли, о чудном озере Иссык-Куль, о святом горе Сулайман-гора, а также великим сыновьям и дочерям кыргызского народа, которые свою жизнь посвящали во имя свободы и суверенитета кыргызского народа.
This book is also about the wonderful nature of Kyrgyzstan, about the Lake Issiku, about the Sulaimanto, and great sons and daughters of Kyrgyzstan who made great contribution to the development, free development of Kyrgyzstan.
Наш народ живет среди высоких гор.
Our people live surrounded by high mountains.
Между американским народом и кыргызским народом есть особая схожая черта.
There is a similar character between Kyrgyz and American nations.
И здесь на трибуне, на гербе США изображен беркут.
Here on the tribune, there is on the emblem of the United States, there is an eagle symbolized on it.
А на гербе Кыргызской республики изображен соколь.
And on the emblem of the Kyrgyzstan is also the same. We have also the eagle.
И обе, и беркут, и соколь свободолюбивые птицы.
Both of these birds are freedom-loving birds.
Наша территория 70% находится выше 3000 метров.
Our territory of Kyrgyzstan, 70% of territory is above the sea level.
В таких условиях свыше 3000 метров может выживать только беркуты, соколю и свободолюбивые кыргызы.
In these conditions, when the territory is 3,000 meters above the sea level, only the eagle or very freedom-loving people can survive.
Кыргызы издревле боролись против тирании и деспотизма.
Kyrgyz people from the ancient times were fighting against tyranny and dictatorship.
И не случайно кыргызский народ 3 года тому назад выбрал путь парламентской демократии.
And it's not occasional that Kyrgyzstan selected the path of parliamentary system 3 years ago.
Из стран Центральной Азии впервые.
And among the Central Asian countries, it was the first.
Мы вчера здесь встречались с конгрессменом США, господином Обстером, Питцем, Рохра Бачером и Прайсом.
Yesterday we had several meetings with several congressmen, including Congressman Pitts, Congressman Rokabaker, Roscoe, and 2 other congressmen.
Они всячески обещали, всячески будут поддерживать демократические реформы и укрепление парламентаризма Кыргызской республики.
They promised us that they will render support to Kyrgyzstan in its democratic and parliamentary reforms.
И мы, кыргызы, гордимся особой тем, у нас особое отношение к женщинам.
And we, Kyrgyz people, are especially proud of our treatment towards women.
В истории мусульманского мира и истории Центральной Азии впервые в Кыргызстане в 2010 году президентом избрана женщина.
First time in the history of Muslim people and first time in the history of Central Asian countries, in 2010, a lady was elected as president of Kyrgyzstan.
А сегодня в надзорных органах первыми лицами, руководителями работают только женщины.
And today we have some law enforcement agencies in Kyrgyzstan which are all led by women.
И генеральный прокурор, и представитель Верховного суда, и представитель Национального банка, и представитель счетной палаты, даже министр финансов.
Prosecutor General, Chairman of the National Bank, Chairman of the Auditing Chamber, and also some Minister of Finance are ladies.
Я убежден в том, что тот народ, который ценит свободу и уважает женщин, обязательно добьется успехов.
And I believe that the nation which respects the freedom and which respects the women, they will immediately and undoubtedly success.
И в завершение, как знак благодарности каждому из вас, всем присутствующим, я хотел бы зачитать напутствие, ахпата, назидание великого Арыстанбека, который проживал в конце 19-го, начале 20 века на берегах Иссыкуля.
And in the end, as my wish to all of you, I would like to just read parting words of great Arıstanbek who lived in the end of 19th and beginning of 20th centuries.
Напутствие Арыстанбека.
Parting words of farewell speech by Arıstanbek.
Чтобы ты был колодцем в пустыне,
Be you the well in the desert.
что ты был батыром на скакуне,
Be you the water riding a steed.
что ты был смелым защитником слабых,
Be you the strong protector of weak.
чтобы ты был опорой вдовам и сиротам,
Be you the support for widows and orphans.
что ты был угрозой для всех тиранов,
Be you the threat for tyranny.
что ты был наказующим перстом для лжецов,
Be you the punishment for liars.
что ты был гонителем для воров,
Be you the persecutor for thieves.
что ты был благодати отвечал своим благородством,
Give your nobility for abundance.
что ты для бедных ты был кормильцем,
Be you the breadwinner for the quiet.
для беззащитных щитом и мечом,
The shield and the sword for defenseless.
что в словах своих ты был краток,
Be you brief with your words.
говорил не торопясь и только нужный народу,
Not hastily spoken, only what people need.
чтоб ты был справедливым и знающим,
Be you fair and competent.
чтоб ты избегал тех, кто хвалит тебя,
Evade those who praise you.
ты что был молотом для кузнеца,
Be you the hammer for a smith.
что ты был надеждой, оградой достойных,
Be you the trusted protector of worthy.
что ты вселял силы в пугливых,
Inspire with power of the one.
в непостоянных постоянства,
And with steadiness and steadiness.
а если народ пострадает от засухи, чтоб ты стал дождем для них,
And if folk would suffer of drought, be you the rain for people.
что ты был милосердным к старикам,
Be you merciful for the aged.
чтоб ты наливал айран голодному,
Give Iran for the hungry.
что ты мирил воюющих,
Reconcile with warring.
что ты был кладом для народа,
Be you the treasure for people.
что ты заслужил честь нести знамя,
Be you worthy to carry a banner.
что ты был колыбелью для новорожденного,
Be you the cradle for an infant.
что ты был дверью к счастью,
Be you the gateway to happiness.
что ты был пристанищем тем, у кого нет земли,
Be you the shelter for landless.
что ты был спокойным и добродушным,
Be you placed and kind.
чтобы ты умел пользоваться славой,
Know the use of glory.
что ты всегда был щедрым, даже когда у тебя нет ничего,
Be you always lavish, even where you have nothing.
что ты был по душе честолюбивому,
Let ambitious men like you.
что ты был гирой для весов,
Be you the weight for the balance.
что ты был истиной из истин.
Be you the final truth.
Пусть духовное богатство будет нескончаемым,
Let your spiritual wealth never stop.
пусть твои слова будут бесценными,
Let your words be invaluable.
пусть твои честь и достоинство будут примером для всего кыргызского народа. Спасибо всем.
Okay. Yeah.
Ну, отчасти люди таке внесли, я вам весьма благодарен. So, отлично. Ambassador Djumaliev, honorable members of the delegation, and Mr. Let me see if I got it, Imanaliev. I heartily thank you for this gift. This is a great gift. It will be added. Okay. It will be added to the collection of the Library of Congress, where it will be available for use by members of Congress and their staffs, by scholars and the general public. I hope that this volume, along with the rest of the collection focusing on Kyrgyzstan and the people of Kyrgyzstan, will serve to help create a clear understanding of your country and your people. And let me informally add two further words of thanks to Kyrgyzstan. We were presented on a previous time, though Kyrgyzstan is a relatively small country, you had presented us with the longest epic poem in the history of the collections of the Library of Congress. So I congratulate you. It's in beautiful English. It's very large. And I must say, I turn its pages and look at it very often for inspiration of what a really epic poem can be. So I congratulate you on that. And with regard to your particular role on the place of women, I should add that on a previous visit, the then president, or the leader, visited me in my office and did something that no visitor in my 26 years as Librarian of Congress who was leading a state ever did. And that was that she sang a beautiful song with a stringed instrument. Its name I've forgotten, but it was an original stringed instrument. That's it. That was it. Anyhow, it was a wonderful memory, and I have spent a long time regretting that I did not have a recording device, a visual recording device, because it was not only beautifully sung, and the words, insofar as I could decipher them, were also very beautiful, but it was the very playing of the instrument was a work of art. The instrument was spun so that it was a multimedial presentation by a head of state. I have never seen anything quite like it, and that certainly vindicates what our distinguished author, who's given this wonderful book, was saying about the role of women. So once again, I congratulate you all. I thank you for being here, and we do thank you for this marvelous gift. This is a reminder of all this artistic creativity that high up in the mountains you are able to produce and shed to us who live at lower altitudes. Огромное вам спасибо. Желаю вам успехов во всем.
Урматтуу мекендештер, бир ооз сөз. Биздин элчи сурап калды, бул китепти жазышыңа эмне себеп болду деп. Тилекке каршы кайгылуу окуя себеп болгон. 2010-жылы ошол окуясы болгондо бүт батыш прессасы, орус басма сөзү кыргыз улутун, кыргыз элин күнөөлөп жазган. Мен ушу китеп менен далилдегим келет. Кыргыз эли андай эл эмес. Кыргыз эли тынчтыкты сүйгөн эл. Кыргыз эли бөлөк улуттар менен ынтымакта жашаган эл. Кыргыз эли миңдеген жылдар бөлөк улуттар менен ынтымакта, биргеликте ушул кыргыз жерин сактап калган эл. Ал тургай ак бешимде 4 диндин борбору бар. Мусулманчылыктын дагы, буддизмдин дагы, синагоганын дагы, жана христианствонун дагы. Биз тышкы дүйнөгө кыргыз эл жөнүндө айтып берип, ар бир кыргызстандык ушуну окугандан кийин сыймыктансын. Мен кыргызстандыкмын, мен кыргыз элинин, кыргыз жеринин кулунумун деп. Баарыңыздарга рахмат.
Thank you very much once again. And урматтуу мекендештер, өзүңөр билесиңер, биздин арабызда бүгүн биздин Американын элчиси болуп иштеп кеткен Djumaliev мырзага сөз берип койбосок да болбойт. Djumaliev мырза, сизге сөз беребиз.
Rahmat. Dobar dan. It is a privilege being here today and witnessing the presentation of the book by Mr. Imanaliev. I had a chance to look at the Russian version, but only briefly. And with the gift to the library, I now have access to the book, and I can look through it much more carefully. I would also add to what Ambassador Djumaliev mentioned about strengthening U.S.-Kyrgyz relations. We're able to bring your rising leaders, your young people who are the future of your country because Dr. Billington started the program. And I want to congratulate the ambassador, Mr. Djumaliev, and members of parliament on their work with our own Congress to really deepen the understanding between our countries. And I want to thank all the individuals from Kyrgyzstan who have honored us by coming to our country and by being participants in this lovely ceremony and also in the conference that the ambassador and others have organized. You're well represented here by the ambassador and the people on his team at the embassy. And I can see the results of his good work every day because I'm here on Capitol Hill every day. So let me, in conclusion, just again say to Mr. Imanaliev that this book is so creatively organized that it really gives you the feel of Kyrgyzstan. And for those unfortunate enough never to have been able to travel to Kyrgyzstan, it really will open their eyes to the country.
So thank you all, and thank you, Ambassador. Thank you, Mr. Djumaliev.
This has been a presentation of the Library of Congress. Visit us at loc.gov.